think he mentioned that he'd injured, it was either his nose or his mouth, a bloody lip, I think. And eventually, after struggling with him, he'd suffered a medical emergency and an ambulance was called. And then I decided I'd head down to the scene.
Is that the extent of what you can remember the defendant telling you about this incident?
I think that was basically it.
Did he tell you whether he personally applied any particular type of force or restraint to Mr. Floyd?
I don't believe so.
Did he tell you whether or not he had to, or other officers, pin Mr. Floyd to the ground?
I think in the conversation there he said something about held somebody down.
Did he mention anything about putting his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck or back?
No.
And is the placement of a knee on a subject's neck a use of force?
Yes.
A reportable type of force?
Not necessarily.
And why is that?
For handcuffing somebody in a prone position or fighting with someone, it could happen where your knee ends up on their neck.
Okay. For about how long?
I guess whatever's reasonable.
Okay. Which would be when?
Until you get control of the party, I guess.
Control is in the person is then handcuffed?
Handcuffed and not continuing to fight with you anymore.
So once the subject is handcuffed and no longer resisting?
Yes.
At that point, the restraint should stop.
Yeah.
All right. After you spoke with the defendant, what did you do?
I headed down to the 38th in Chicago where he was at.
This time asked to publish Exhibit 1. 38th in Chicago is within the 3rd precinct, is that correct?